Hey guys, my name is JAde and welcome to Dallas Jamming. In this video, I wanted to talk to you guys about the main differences between having a synthesizer setup, so for example, a bunch of synthesizers, a drum machine, a mixer, a hardware sequencer, or an all-in-one groove box, so something like the MPC Live, or the Machine Plus, or something like the Novation Tracks, the OP1, pretty much any device that doesn't require anything else to be used. So I'm not here to say that one method is better than the other, but one method might be better than the other in certain situations, especially if financials are involved. So for me, when I first started getting into hardware synths, I was completely from the DAW. I didn't even know what a synthesizer was, and it was exciting. It was an exciting time because there were so many synthesizers, so many machines that made different sounds, and it was such an amazing world. I started off with the Volcas, and those are cheap. They're cheap. They start at $150. I get everything used. Gotta save money where you can. So I picked up the Volca Beats, which was my first analog drum machine, and then I picked up the Volca Keys and then the bass, and that was kind of the ecosystem that I had built. Later on, I switched out the Beats for the TR8, and just switching things out forever and ever after that. So when you first start out with a hardware setup, your budget might only allow you to get things like the Volcas or maybe even the Roland Boutiques, and those aren't even that cheap. They're $300-400 for the Roland Boutiques. But synthesizers can definitely get expensive. So when you're thinking of building a synthesizer setup, especially when you're looking at analog synths, that's not going to provide you all the sounds that you need. Yes, you can tweak an analog synthesizer to sound like anything, to sound like birds, like water, but if you're looking for strings or a synthesizer that can replicate an actual instrument like a bass, a trumpet, you're going to want to look into a digital synth. For me, my main digital synth is the Yamaha Montage. That's my baby. It does everything for me that an analog synth does not. But this is a $3,000 synthesizer. This is a lot of money. So imagine if I just have, this is just one thing, right? This is also a workstation, but the example that I'm trying to give you is you're gonna want more than one sound source. So if you have a synthesizer setup, this is gonna be one synth, then you got your other synth that's analog, then you got your other synth that does this and that, right? And that is definitely gonna get expensive. You're also gonna wanna pick up a drum machine because most synthesizers don't have drums built in. Some do, but it's better to have an actual drum machine. It's just more hands-on if you're going with that setup. Then you're probably gonna want to pick up a hardware sequencer. So we're already in the thousands right now. Depends on the type of gear you're using. It's possible to do it. I think it's possible to do it under $1,000. I might make a video on that. Yo. I just got a text message. I was guys, okay. I didn't even want to talk about this in this video because I didn't want to jinx it. But your girl might get her own space. Your girl might get her own studio space. That's all I'm gonna say right now. I don't want to jinx it. Let's see what happens. I just got a text message. It looks promising. Onto the video. Okay, so yes, it's more expensive. It's gonna be a lot more expensive to have a synthesizer setup than it is a groove box. And groove boxes aren't cheap. I mean, if you look at something like the Korg Electribe, the MC101, you get what you pay for. Those aren't gonna be as feature packed as, let's say, something like the MPC Live, which I have my hate and love relationship with. I love the concept of it. I don't have the MPC Live 2. I've only tried the MPC Live 1, and that was 3 years ago. But I had a lot of issues with the software. It just wasn't really my workflow. I like the Machine Plus more. So if you're asking me, I prefer the Machine Plus. Anyways, those can do a lot more than something like the Electribe 2 or the MC101 or something like that. So with a hardware setup, you're gonna have a bunch of synthesizers, you got your drum machine. Now you need to figure out how you're gonna get that sound out of each synthesizer. So you're gonna need a mixer, okay? So that's more money. Eventually, you're gonna get tired of using the built-in sequencer in those synthesizers, and that's even if they have a built-in sequencer, because not every synthesizer has a built-in sequencer. So eventually you'll get tired of that and you'll wanna pick up a hardware sequencer. So that's just more gear, more money, and more cables. And that's not something that a lot of people talk about, but the amount of money that you spend on cables, because you gotta think audio cables, MIDI cables, power cables. If you're talking about pedals, sometimes they don't come with their own power supply. So that's another budget that goes. I spent hundreds. I'm pretty sure I've spent over $100 on cables, more. So you might be asking yourself, why would someone do that? Why would someone choose a synthesizer setup over something like, let's say, the Machine Plus, or something that you just need that piece? And the answer is, it's just because it's more fun. It's a lot of fun to have each synthesizer make its own sound. It's a lot of fun to be able to switch things out and not be tied to one specific item. It's a lot of fun to twist the knobs and slide the sliders. It's fun. but it's expensive. And it's also, I'm gonna say, a bit less productive because it gives you the chance to constantly switch things out. So let's talk about the all-in-one groove boxes, because I really think that's a great place to start, especially for someone that's coming directly from making music in the computer and doesn't know where to start. If the first thing that you do is buy yourself a synthesizer, soon you're gonna realize that you need something else. You're gonna need a drum machine, you're gonna need a mixer, you're gonna need more things. But if you already have, like, let's say an interface and you get something like the Machine Plus, all you have to do is plug it into your interface. It even has USB, so you don't even need an interface. You can just plug it straight into your computer, get sound out of it that way, use it as a controller. But let's talk about the dollars aspect of it. Having one machine is gonna allow you to concentrate more on like that specific piece, really learn it inside out. Because if you pick up 5 synthesizers, a drum machine, a sampler, a hardware sequencer, those are all things that have different workflows. Like, you literally just picked up, 6, 7 instruments that you're trying to learn at the same time. Like, you should really look at each piece as its own instrument. And that's the cool thing about groove boxes, because like now you're there, like everything is there. My drums are gonna be here, sampling is gonna be here, my sound source is gonna be here. And the con of that is that like you're tied to those sounds, like the sounds on the MPC or on the machine or Electribe or whatever, those sounds are the built-in sounds. But one of the cool things about groove boxes is that they normally have a lot of connections. So like once you've mastered that actual workflow, like let's say for example the Machine Plus workflow, then you can go and include your synthesizers. So I think starting off with a groove box is a great thing because it allows you to like really master that, and then later once you know how to do more things on it, add more to your setup. So like you can plug in your synthesizers into it, you can sample into it, you can even sequence it, use it as a sequencer. Not every single groove box has the same features, but I'm talking about for me it's the Machine Plus. That's like my main groove box. And you don't need anything else. Plug in some headphones. If you have the MPC Live 2, it has that cool speaker at the bottom. You don't need anything else. So like it's that convenience of what's gonna be quicker for you to get to creation. And at the end of the day, I feel like that's the most important thing, because if you're constantly rearranging, constantly switching out your synthesizers, this one for this one, I don't want this drum machine anymore, now I want another one. You're switching out instruments every time and you're not giving yourself actual time to learn that specific piece. So I hope that gave you guys a little bit of insight, maybe answered some questions that you had about those type of setups and which one might be best for you in your current situation. Both setups are a lot of fun. Yes, synthesizers are a lot more fun because you get control over all of your sounds, but with that comes money and time and workflow technicalities. Where a groove box, it's going to be more of a one-on-one connection that you have with that specific piece, allowing you to really learn it more and really focus all your energy into that. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. So yeah, exciting. I'm so excited. I don't even want to jinx it because like nothing has happened yet. So like I'm not even gonna say anything, but thank you for the good vibes, guys. Obviously it's working. Keep sending good vibes to me. Let's see what's gonna happen. Hopefully I get my own room soon. So just fingers crossed. Stay fly, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.